Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing the romance journey reading tag. I was tagged in this by Andy from the Zebra Reads, and I think that might be it. Did Becca tag me? Becca might have also tagged me. I've been tagged in a couple of different videos. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get around to doing these, but anyway, we're here and we're gonna do the romance journey reader tag. Romance journey tag? There we go. So as far as I'm aware, this was a set of 10 questions that was collated by a number of like influencers, booktubers, readers, and I will leave everything linked down below, including the original video. Number one, about how old were you when you started reading romance, and do you remember the first romance you read? I wasn't ever really a romance girly until like 2016, 2017 when I started reading more adult romance, because growing up I was never into like Twilight and all that. The first adult romance I remember reading, Do Not At Me, was probably like the 50 Shades series. I remember what kind of books I used to read, but that was the first one I remember reading, and because people were so excited about how smutty it was, and I was pulled into the intrigue of what those books were about. I read them, was very disappointed, skipped the majority of the sex scenes after a while, and I just wanted to know what happened to the characters. I just wanted to know why he was so messed up. And so it kind of ended up just being not a romance. But other than that, I used to read a lot of, maybe readers for a lot of contemporary romance authors that were indie authors. Some of them are still around now, some of them not so much. Some of the people who I used to read for were like quite smutty books. I remember reading some of them, but none of them are very good. But I was in that like phase of these indie authors that are sending me things specifically and I need to give it a high rating, and I'm a people pleaser, so I used to just rate them really high even though they weren't that good. So yeah, that's a weird way to answer that question, but I did it. Did you deliberately seek out romance, or did you stumble upon it, and how? I didn't deliberately seek it out. It was just, I was getting bored of reading thrillers and just not being surprised by thrillers anymore. And as I started using Twitter more back in the day, more and more contemporary authors were popping up on Twitter and contacting me through like the Facebook that I had and asking if I wanted to review their like adult contemporary romance. So like a divorcee trying to find a new life for herself in a small town and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, again, not very well written, but I still read them highly anyway because I was a people pleaser. Did you start with traditionally published or indie, and has it switched? I did start traditionally published because it was 50 Shades of Grey, but after that it was mostly indie. But now looking at my shelves, most of what I own contemporary wise are traditionally published. I don't think I own many, if any, that are like indie. I don't think. I do still read like Kindle Limited smut. That time I got drunk and saved a demon, is that what it's called? By Kimberly Lemmings. I think that's indie. I've read that. But other than that, yeah, mostly traditionally published now. What was a romance trope you were afraid to try but ended up loving? I've never been afraid to try a trope. There's some tropes that I don't particularly like, and again, it may be because they've previously been done really badly, and it's sometimes it can be very specific things, like the accidental pregnancy trope I'm not a huge fan of. I feel like if it's handled well, then it could potentially be okay, but the cheating trope I don't like. And I don't mind, see, this is what I mean, like, I don't mind reading a book where they have broken up because one of them have cheated and they're moving on in life. Do you know what I mean? And this is like after the end of a, you know, the family partner cheated, and this is the story of them trying to make the life better. That, obviously the cheating is still in there, but it's not like an on-page cheating situation. What I struggle with is on-page cheating. When you see them sneaking around behind their partner's backs. Well, when you know that someone's got a partner and they still do something anyway. You know. There was a fantasy series that I was really enjoying until they did this. Like, they were with somebody, yet they still went and slept with someone. I don't like cheating on page. It just, I don't see the point in it. It doesn't further the plot. It doesn't do anything. I don't understand why it needs to be there. One trope that I wasn't afraid of, but I didn't know if I would like or not, was the, not enemies to lovers, but rivals to lovers. Because for me, anyone I've disliked, I found it hard to go from dislike to like to more than like. So I always used to find that was a bit of a difficult one to get my head around. But after reading a few of those, I get it. I get it now. So I wouldn't say I was afraid to try these. One trope that I didn't think I would like that I ended up really liking was like rivals to lovers, nemesis to lovers situation. 5. Is there a romance book you read early in your journey that you would rate differently today? Yes. All of them. All of them pre-2020. In the romance section of my brain and memory, I rated all of them way higher than they should have been, because again, I had a blog, I was a people pleaser. I thought if I didn't rate anybody a 4 and a 5, then they would never send me a book again. And I was just in that mindset of like, I have to rate these highly because I will feel bad otherwise. And especially after reading so many good books now, I can see where they could have done with some more development. So yeah. Number 6. How has your taste in romance evolved over the years? I read more smut now. I read way more adult romance. So when I read an adult romance, it tends to be one that has a bit of smut in it. Whereas when I first started reading contemporary romance, it was more of like the journey of somebody's life, and it was very fade to black, and it was more about a woman finding herself after divorce and things like that. There weren't in like there wasn't any kind of smut in those books. Whereas looking at my shelves, the majority of the books on here have some sex scenes in them. I don't know what that says about me, but there you go. Number 7. What is the most powerful romance you have read and left a lasting impression? That left a lasting impact. I would probably say Nick and Naomi from You Deserve Each Other. I wouldn't. Powerful's a weird. Meg said this. Powerful's a weird phrasing, but their relationship just. If you don't know what You Deserve Each Other is about, it's about Nick and Naomi, who are together at the beginning of the book. They're engaged. Certain things have happened which make them not want to be engaged anymore, but none of them want to foot the bill for breaking it off, and they may or may not, things happen. But I think that the way that relationship develops throughout the story, that stuck with me, because that was the first book that I'd read where they started off together and it followed that narrative. A lot of the books I've read, the third act breakup or the third act blip or whatever is just so obvious, and it just feels a bit like eye-rolling at times. But I just feel like everything in that book was just perfection. Like, I loved the relationship. At first I wanted to yeet Naomi through a wall, but after I got to know her a bit better, she was fine. Number 8, what was a romance book that told you this is what I'm looking for in my personal life and or partner? Nick and Naomi. Nick. He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect, but yeah, that but also adding a bit of Fox from Hook, Line and Sinker. That would be me. Also Dean from The Wedding Crasher. Mix of those three. Because I do like a guy that's like sensitive and will talk about his feelings, but I also like a cheeky chappy. And I feel like someone who could get a bit of banter, but also someone who knows what he wants in life. So yeah, just a mixture of all those three. Thank you, please. And which romance book or books would you recommend to a romance newbie and a seasoned romance reader? Depends what you want. If you're looking for Regency romance, I would recommend India Holton. She's got 3 books out, starting with The Mysterious Society of Lady Scoundrels, then it's The League of Gentlemen Witches and The Secret Society of Tea and Treason. I'm looking at the books over there. If you're wanting a more contemporary type of book, Olivia Dade, All the Feels, spoiler alert, they're good. If you just want something that's so cute, you want to just punch somebody, Red, White and Royal Blue by Katie McQuiston is an absolute gem. I did also really enjoy The Flat Share and The Switch by Beth O'Leary. Depends what you want. If you want something with a bit more spicy and Tessa Daly, yeah. Sapphic or queer, go for Ashley Herring Blake with Delilah Green Doesn't Care and Ashley Parker Doesn't Fail. Yeah. Those are recommendations. In your eyes, what are 3 perfect romances? Nick and Naomi from You Deserve Each Other because, you know, shit happens. Alex and Henry from Red, White and Royal Blue, they go through some shit. They do. And it's just so freaking adorable. Fox and Hannah from Hook, Line and Sinker. I like their romance. How it develops. Not necessarily the beginning, but how the romance develops. I do enjoy that. So, there we go. So most people that I would have tagged in this have already done it. I did tag Meg the first time I filmed this, but she's now done this, so I'm just going to tag Chloe from Sister Bookworm, and anyone else who reads contemporary or romance and would like to do this, tag. You are tagged. Tag me and let me know what your answers are, because I would love to know. And I might end up getting some more recommendations for romance books to read. That's always a good thing. If you like me and you want to see more of me, please like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And if you are here and you want to let me know you're here but you don't have anything to say, please leave me black hearts, very much appreciated. Until next time, enjoy whatever you're reading, what you're doing, and I'll see you all very soon. Wonder if you spend the winter all alone, yeah. Cause I don't please fall. I don't please fall. Yeah.